Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Starfleet. Oh, I don't think I was recording. Haha, live TV.
It
Hello.
says live up there.
It did?
Yeah.
Well, it's casual and informal, so we could mess up. It's no big deal. Um, Brand new episode of Starfleet Boy. I've just traveled back to Starfleet headquarters from Bajor. Did I say that right? Bajor?
Bajor for Bajorans.
And Terok Nor, and I was visiting my good friend Goldie Scott on his own turf. And we had a little debutante ball for you, Goldie Scott. Did you like it?
It was fantastic. There were lots of cute little Bajoran girls.
And interesting.
Not sure how far you want me to take that. This is a PG show.
PG-13, I guess.
PG-13. But we all know what happens at debutante balls.
Do we?
Don't we?
I think they're pretty, yeah. They're pretty tame. Anyways, did you know that after the fiasco that happened where the classified starship battleship crashed into San Francisco, that Starfleet headquarters was relocated to Seattle? Did you know this?
I was not aware of this. What classified starship was this that crashed?
What was that thing called? That monstrosity? Something like the Killer Class. Something, I'm not sure.
Oh, the Peter Weller,
Peter
where he was a captain. Yeah.
Admiral.
You're talking about Star Trek Into Darkness,
which,
which doesn't count.
which, by the way, on your show, we're gonna do.
Yeah. Oh, don't give it away. Don't give it away. We're gonna keep it a surprise, the title. But we are gonna do a review of Star Trek Into Darkness, and it will be super fantastic on Drunk Space Nine. Check it out.
Yep. So
on iTunes.
Today on Starfleet Boy, we're going to talk about the Star Trek: The Next Generation episode Haven, and since it's so late in on
Bajor, yes.
Bajor, yeah, okay. So anyway, since it's so late on Bajor, we're going to keep this as brief as possible. So I'm going to jump right into the episode synopsis.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
Very simple episode. Starship Enterprise is on its way to a planet called Haven, and it's a legendary planet known to have healing and relaxing properties. They seem to go to a lot of these like really chill planets where you can just relax. Futures looks good for for Star Trek. Anyways, they get to Haven, and all of a sudden something's being transported up, and it's this silver box with a face on it, and it starts to talk, and it says that it's presenting gifts for the bride to be in a wedding, and and spills loads of jewelry out onto the transporter pad, and we find out that the bride to be is actually Deanna Troi, and the groom to be is a yet unknown human named Wyatt Miller. Very plain, regular name. Anyways, the episode then introduces the wonderful Lwaxana Troi, played by Majel Barrett Roddenberry, and we'll get into some details about her. But she immediately, she's a force to be reckoned with, a presence unlike any other, and she takes control of everything, which annoys Counselor Troi to no end, and also, kind of makes the rest of the crew uncomfortable. So Wyatt and Deanna start to get to know each other. By the way, they were betrothed to one another at childhood, so this is the first time they're meeting since they were little kids, or actually it might be the first time they're meeting at all. I wasn't too clear on that. But they get to know each other. Meanwhile, it's a little complicated because, as we know, Commander Riker is Deanna's Imzadi, which means beloved. And even though he clearly wants to be a ship captain, and that's like his number one priority, he's feeling torn here, and has to deal with his emotions and his feelings. Wackiness ensues, and then on top of that, a ship comes into range to this planet Haven, and the residents of Haven are immediately perturbed and remind the Enterprise that it's their duty to defend them, because we find out that the ship is occupied by legendary space lepers, and these people who are carrying a disease that was brought on by a biological war on their planet many years ago are highly contagious and have been known to wipe out the populations of planets because of their disease. So they're hunted also. They're pariahs in the galaxy. Anyways, Captain Picard has to figure it all out. And in the meantime, Wyatt has been having sort of these like visions since he was a little kid about this dream girl. When he meets Deanna, he's kind of disappointed because he's like, oh, you're not that chick that I dreamt about. And lo and behold, she's on this leper colony ship, space leper colonies ship. And so Wyatt makes a decision, a very tough decision, and decides to pursue his dreams and beam aboard the ship with all the diseased crew and try to heal them. He's a doctor, by the way. So ends the episode. Very brief, quick synopsis, not like my usual thing. This is more in the style of Drunk Space Nine. What'd you think?
Fantastic job, Starfleet boy.
So I guess we can jump right into some details. Immediately, I guess we could talk about this episode's a little bit surreal. It's different in tone from the other episodes. I mean, you have a face on a metal trunk that bleeds jewelry. That's how we start out. When Wyatt first beams aboard, he gives Counselor Troi a rose that it's a chameleon rose, and it changes colors. It's like a mood rose. So there's some like weird things. I didn't even talk about Mr. Home.
Was the mood ring a thing back when this episode came out? I feel like the mood rose was like based on the mood ring. Do you remember the mood ring when we were kids?
Yeah, I think the mood ring comes from like a long time ago, like the 50s or 60s. So
I don't know, but it was a fad when we were kids, and I wonder if that's what they were sort of playing off of there with this.
Yeah, that's what they were doing.
Yeah, and the giant guy who just every time I looked at him, it just made me wish I was watching Twin Peaks instead, because that's what he was from. Did you ever watch Twin Peaks?
I did see a few episodes of Twin Peaks when I was young. It was airing around the same time, actually.
Oh, it was. I mean, this guy was probably brought on, well, not just because he's freakishly tall, but he was already famous at the time from being on Twin Peaks, I think. Or maybe, you know what? No, I got to take that back. That's wrong. This was before Twin Peaks.
Oh, right on. So
sorry, viewers. It's late at night. I'm a little off my game.
That's okay. You're doing just fine. I guess the first highlight of this episode was basically meeting Lwaxana Troi.
Well, highlight is a generous word.
See, what did you think of her?
I mean, I'll just be. Can I just say something really quick in general? Like, I normally sugarcoat things, but it's late at night. It's been a long day for both of us. I just have to say, like, we are deep in the depths, in the bowels of season 1 right now, and it's rough. It is rough, my friend.
What are you talking about?
This is just back-to-back awful episodes. This episode, I don't know how you could say it's anything but awful. Lwaxana Troi is a character that is amusing. She, I guess, was the one saving grace of the episode. But everything else around it was just, oh man. And your summary was great, because so much of that I actually wasn't paying attention to during the episode, because it just couldn't hold my attention.
Well, it's a funny thing. So I guess we find out a lot about the characters in this episode. We find out that Deanna is half human.
We didn't know that already?
Well, I guess we might have, but like it's reiterated. Because she explains some limitations about her abilities, and then we meet her mother, who's full Betazed, and we find out what a true Betazed can actually do. And supposedly she can hear everyone's thoughts in impeccable detail, and she claims that Captain Picard has some naughty thoughts for her.
Oh, I bet he does.
The first scenes that she comes on, she's just kind of like a whirlwind of crazy. That's the only way to describe her. She is just so outrageous. She asks Captain Picard to carry her luggage, which is like extremely heavy. And I actually love that scene where he's walking the luggage through the corridors, and you see Geordi and Data kind of walking by, and they look puzzled at each other and just kind of like are like, okay, what the heck's going on here? And then Counselor Troi is upset, and she says, all right, enough's enough. You have a valet, this like Lurch. Actually, didn't he play Lurch in the Addams Family movies? I'm pretty sure that's who that guy is.
Probably.
The newer films.
Yeah.
Anyways,
those are great films, by the way.
Yeah, they are.
Can we talk about those instead?
No, his name is Mr. Holm, Homn, and he's basically doesn't speak. He's like Hodor before Hodor.
Well, he does speak at the very, very end.
Yeah, he does actually. You're right.
And it's like it's like a aha moment, and I think Riker and Picard like turn to each other like, oh.
And apparently, it's the only time he ever does speak. By the way, it's the first and last time he speaks.
In his because he does appear in future episodes.
Appear again in future episodes. So anyways, we have that scene, and then this episode was very humorous, I thought. Another humorous thing is when Deanna finally blows up and says that it's inappropriate, she then makes Mr. Holm pick up the luggage, and he just does it so like Captain Picard's like struggling. He just kind of picks it up like the piece of plastic that it actually is, which is pretty funny. So great acting, Sir Patrick Stewart, making that thing look heavy when it's actually just light Teflon or styrofoam or whatever it was.
It was good acting. It was good acting. Yeah. But I don't like comedic Star Trek episodes. They just rub me the wrong way. Well, I shouldn't say that. It depends. But comedic Captain Picard seems weird to me. Did it seem weird to you at all? Seeing Captain Picard being kind of like the butt of jokes and a little bit of a goofball and.
No, I actually loved it. I thought it was great. This was not one of my favorite episodes, but as a kid, I do remember being very amused by this episode. And then, it still holds up. I actually remember a lot of
holds up.
Yeah,
holds up.
It holds up. The humor. See, I think that. That's neat. You can see.
I see people back there.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing at the same time. That's funny.
We both have eyes.
Anyways, so anyway, she kind of talks about something you mentioned in an earlier episode, or maybe the doctor did, but she mentions that Counselor Troi does have an accent.
Like a human accent?
Well, apparently, yeah, it's a human accent, but I've always wondered what her accent is, because it's a weird accent. I don't know what kind of human.
But Lwaxana Troi sounds like a normal human.
She does, but she has kind of a flair, I guess. Maybe.
How do you say her name?
Lwaxana.
Lwaxana.
Yeah.
Like bagel and lox? Yeah. Because it's spelled Lwax, right? It's like LW.
Yeah, it's just kind of like Lwaxana.
So it's a silent W.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes it easier.
So she says that's her dad's fault or whatever. The human accent, which, by the way, did you notice that Counselor Troi's accent changes in Star Trek Voyager when she revisits? Did you know she's on Star Trek Voyager, first of all?
That is kind of a surprise to me.
Oh, wait, you haven't seen Star Trek? Have you? I thought you watched it.
I've seen some of Voyager, but that is by far my least favorite show. So I could not get through all of it. Perhaps someday we will. Once we finish Starfleet Boy and Drunk Space Nine, we'll move on to that.
It's indeed in the cards.
God help us if we do.
So Anyway, she mentions the accent, and then immediately after that, the Millers come aboard, and we get to meet them, and they're
Yeah,
just
I like Wymill. Did you like Wymill?
Wyatt?
Yeah, well, I call him Wymill. I think that sounds cooler.
Wyatt Miller. Yeah, I actually really liked him. He's a babe. It's very cute.
Great hair.
Great hair. Great.
Fantastic
Like,
hair.
he's like teased up, crazy hair. He's a doctor. He's like everything Counselor Troi would want in a
A
mate.
little young, doesn't he? Does he seem a little young for her though?
No, I think they're supposed to be about the same age. And funny enough, so I find this a little strange, and I think obviously Commander Riker finds it a little strange too. So, you know, she's betrothed to this guy, and she takes it really seriously. She plans on going through with the marriage. Like, she's not like, oh no, things have changed or anything like that. She talks to Commander Riker, and his feelings are the same. He still wants to be a starship captain, and that's his first priority. So she just decides, all right, well, that's fine. I'm gonna get married to this guy that I'm promised to. And then Captain Picard asks her if she's gonna stay aboard, and she says no. She plans. This was like an exit. This could have been an exit for Counselor Troi. This could have been her last episode.
Oh, you'd never believe that for a second.
Well, still,
Even back that's part of the problem of the episode for me is that I never thought that she was actually going to marry this dude. And the second they had that scene where he talks about this blonde woman who's visited him in his dreams and all that, you just know by the end of the episode she's going to show up, and that's going to be their out to save her from having to marry the dude. So it was just like they what's the word? Foreshadowing, but in a bad way.
I'll give you that.
I gave it away.
It's very obvious. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. No, there's no surprises. You're absolutely right. But anyways, getting to know this character is pretty interesting. He's pretty cool, and he's having these strange visions. Yeah, it's kind of weird. And so, but he's very sweet to Counselor Troi, because he says something like, "Oh, please don't mistake these childish drawings for me being disappointed. You're actually quite beautiful, and I definitely want to marry you." So he's kind of also into it, and he's ready to, to marry Counselor Troi.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wymill is a cool dude.
He is a pretty cool dude. Anyways, all of a sudden, by the way, the sick people are called the Tarellians. And so around this time, a Tarellian vessel.
The Trillians?
Tarellian.
You sure it's not the Trillians?
I'm pretty sure. I just watched the episode.
Okay. Sorry, just calling back to earlier episode inside joke on an earlier Starfleet Boy episode that you don't remember.
I don't remember. Failure. But it is the Tarellians.
Okay, the Tarellians. Go ahead.
So the
Maybe one of our listeners can find the Easter egg that I was just talking about.
Yeah, that'd be good. Oh, very nice. Anyway, the Tarellians appear, and Captain Picard, everyone's freaked out when they realize what kind of ship. In fact, when you see the visual of the ship, Captain Picard's like, "Is that what I think it is?" You know, and then he even says something along the lines of, what does he say? It was this thing. Oh, he wants to. He's like, "I will not let the Tarellians destroy this ship or the planet," which I thought was like really dramatic. It's like destroy. So we discover in that scene also that the Tarellians are hunted. This is probably the last Tarellian ship, because the previously last Tarellian ship was destroyed 8 years prior to this ship's discovery. So who knows how many last Tarellian ships there actually are out there, but we're going to assume that this is the last one. And whatever they have, this disease, it's highly
Space leprosy.
It's like, but it's space leprosy, but everyone looks really good.
Super hot. Well, the one dude, not that I can say anything, but come on, the one dude is like super bald. He's got the ring baldness thing. So I don't know how good looking he is, but the blonde is hot. Now, this was confusing to me, because what is the relationship between the blonde and the bald dude? Because at one point he's like got his arm around her, like it almost makes you wonder if they're together, but then clearly Wyatt is going to get with this chick. Is this not just space lepers, but space leper polygamists.
I think you missed somewhere along the lines that is his daughter.
Oh, clearly I did.
Anyways, he's like counter Captain Picard. He's like leper counter Captain Picard.
Leper Picard.
He's
Leprechaun.
Lepcard. Anyways, and there is this kind of like nice little respect between the two. Captain Picard kind of does this like nod at the end of the.
Well, and also they have the same hairline.
They do. They have the same hairline. Anyway,
exact same hairline.
So that's what I was just saying. It's like from the outward appearance, you can't tell there's anything wrong with the Tarellians. They're not like their skin's not falling off. They're not, in bandages. They look perfectly healthy, but they have this terminal disease. And funny enough, the episode of Drunk Space 9 that we're going to talk about tonight after this has something to do with a virus as well.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah, indeed. Very, very nice little parallel. What he says, Captain Picard says, is they must not be able to destroy us or the planet. So what they do immediately is they quarantine, they tractor beam the ship and hold it in position. Anyways, in the scene where the Tarellians reveal themselves, we see the blonde lady and Counselor Troi immediately realizes, oh, this is the woman, and
this is my out.
Was it that obvious? I think so.
Oh, she was relieved.
Oh, so anyways, we got to backtrack.
Well, they did kiss. I mean, she did kiss Wymil. Is that what you want to backtrack to?
I want to backtrack to a little bit before that. I didn't even talk about the best part of the episode was the engagement dinner. That was
a good scene.
It's just pure pandemonium. Another bit of trivia: it's the only time we see the dining hall of the Enterprise with the United Federation of Planets seal.
That was a weird room. So it's never been seen again.
No, after that, I think everything happens in 10 forward. All the fun stuff happens in 10 forward after this. But the dining room was a set that was not reused. And it's basically because it's crew quarters that are redressed, basically. It looks like crew quarters to me. Anyways, there's a lot of fun and wackiness happening at this thing. Data's running around like a weird creeper, just listening into everyone's conversation. Mr. Home is drinking like a fish. I mean, like he's just downing like what appears to be whiskey. Like there's like no one's business. The women have different weird hairdos. Tasha's hair, what was up with that? Did you notice Tasha's hair?
That was super weird.
And Dr. Crusher's hair too was like shortened somehow.
Yeah. And they didn't even have any lines in this, did they?
Yeah, I think Tasha says something. What did she say? Oh, when they announced when they let everyone know, oh, this is fun too. So a Betazed wedding or a Betazoid wedding, everyone's naked.
Right.
And Tasha's like, what? As if she wouldn't just disrobe anyways. And then so you have Tasha and Crusher's hair. You have Data being a total creeper. You have Mr. Home getting wasted. You have everyone kind of disagreeing. At one point, the Millers would love if Captain Picard would officiate the wedding, and then Lwaxana says, "Oh no, I think it's pronounced Lwaxana. No, it's Lwaxana.
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 Lwaxana. You don't have to put on the red light. Put on the red light.
Lwaxana.
Lwaxana. Okay, sorry.
I think Drunk Space 9 is bleeding over into
getting ready. Show. And then Lwaxana has this weird pet plant that she creeps Mrs. Miller out with. She like freaks her out by it, like it crawls onto her arm. So yeah, they announced the wedding's gonna be naked. There's like all kinds of pandemonium going on, all kinds of weird crap. Mr. Home keeps ringing this bell over and over again every time Lwaxana.
Okay, I have a confession to make.
Yes.
I had gone to the bathroom during this scene.
You missed the scene.
I didn't pause it.
You got to watch the scene again.
So this whole time I've been pretending to like remember what you're talking about.
Oh, it's one of the best
But
scenes.
now I fessed up. Now I don't have to pretend anymore.
Well, anyways, you missed Deanna freaking out. Like she freaks out completely, and then she runs out of there. And that's when you came back from the bathroom because you remember the holodeck scene. So Will had left a little earlier because he was already kind of.
Oh, the holodeck. That's right. Yeah, that's where they kissed.
So Will leaves a little bit before. She freaks out. She leaves,
Yeah.
and she goes to the holodeck, and she and she talks to Riker, and they have this weird moment where Riker's kind of like uncomfortable with the whole thing. And he's trying to express his feelings, and then
Okay, so what's the deal here? At this point in the show, what do we know about specifically why they broke up, who broke it off? Because Riker's kind of acting like he wants to be with her.
he definitely is acting like he wants to be with her because I think he does, and I think it's like interesting because it's like, knowing what happens in Star Trek: The Next Generation, we eventually know that they will get married.
Right, but my question is, at this point, what do we know about their history?
I think that Counselor Troi wanted to. The impression that I get is that Counselor Troi wanted to make it a deeper relationship at some point, but Riker was very career driven, and he was like, "Not now." And then she's like, "Not now. If not now, then when?" And then they kind of like grew apart, went their separate ways, and then when they were both assigned to the Enterprise, it presented a new kind of like opportunity for them, but it's still awkward. They don't know how to relate to each other. They kind of got it, they kind of made this decision to just be friends or whatever. But
Okay, so Riker kind of was the one who broke it off because he was like he chose the career over her.
right.
But now that they ended up on the same assignment, now he's thinking, oh, I can have my cake and eat it too.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so while they're talking, all of a sudden Wyatt appears, and we don't hear the holodeck doors, which are quite loud, open up. Like
because when I came back from the bathroom, I didn't even realize they were I thought they were down on a planet somewhere, or all I know is it was the exact same set from the last episode when they were down there with Q, which was the exact same set from when they were fighting the Ferengis, and it was the whole scene. It was just bothering me how it's the exact same set over and over again, episode after episode.
well,
Season 1.
$1 million an episode is just not enough.
Season 1.
It's not enough. Anyway, so Wyatt walks in, and basically he kind of takes command of the situation, and he one-ups Riker and even insults him a little bit. And Riker just kind of leaves, and then Wyatt and Troi have another very touching and romantic scene, and this is when they make out. Fast forward to the scene we were talking to you before. All of a sudden, the Tarellian ship comes into communications range, and when we see who's on the other side, it is in fact this
super hot blonde.
Yeah, the reveal of the girl, and so anyways, they tractor beam the ship because they can't allow the Tarellians to beam down to the planet. They want to live. Initially, they're saying that they just want to live on like a deserted island somewhere and to be left alone, and they just want to die on Haven. That's like their dream. Is like that's what they're planning on doing. But when they present Wyatt, all of a sudden now they feel like there's some hope because the girl whose name I can't remember, Ariana. It's a pretty name. Ariana had the same visions of Wyatt that Wyatt was having of Ariana when they were little kids, and so very quickly the episode kind of starts wrapping up. There's a really cool scene where Wyatt goes to talk to Lwaxana about his plan, like what he wants to do and should he do it, and etc. And so she's like, "Darling, it's very simple. Just do what your heart tells you." Basically, it's like, and he's like, "Okay, fine." So what his heart tells him to do is steal medical supplies from
his heart tells him to go to the hot blonde.
So he takes these medical supplies. He doesn't actually steal them.
How ironic.
They think that they're gonna beam them over.
So, okay, so in theory, Wyatt's going to catch this disease too. In the,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
okay, it is very similar to the
Mhm.
DS9 episode. Interesting. So would you, if you were in these same shoes,
That's funny. I had the same question.
would you, your dream mate, shows up and has space leprosy? Would you go be with them, knowing that you too would catch space leprosy, but it's the dream person, like the be all end all person?
If I happen to be Wyatt, I might do it because he's a doctor, and there's a chance he can actually cure the disease. Which, by the way, there's no follow up in novelization or any other form to this episode. I'm curious.
What's so great about Wyatt? Is he the greatest doctor ever that no other doctor anywhere in the galaxy could cure this thing? Or
No, but he's motivated by love, and there is some kind of weird cosmic connection here. I mean, there is some like element of fate happening here. So one, Captain Picard at the beginning of the episode says something like, "Legends have a way of coming true. It's the spice of life," and
oh yeah, that's a good speech. I like that little speech he gives to Data.
says that's a Data in the beginning of the episode, and so it's something that I think, the episode hammers the point in with with Wyatt when he goes aboard the Tarellian vessel. Funny enough, she also has these artistic interpretations of him, even going up until an older version of him, and then they reveal the big hair Wyatt drawing, like obvious to him that that he's so there's a little hope there. He grows old.
What do you mean he grows old?
So the drawings that the girl did of Wyatt actually extend into older age. Like there's like a 40 or 50-year-old Wyatt. So that might be the little clue into saying that maybe in fact he does cure these people.
Oh.
Or figure out a way at least to extend their lives.
Way to go, Wyatt Mill.
Yeah, Wyatt Mill. So anyways, that's it.
Oh, Picard and Data. Before I forget,
Yeah.
there was another great moment between Picard and Data that sort of picked up on something from an earlier episode where Data starts over-explaining something and Picard just kind of quickly cuts him off. Do you know the scene I'm talking about?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this happens a little often now. You'll see it'll happen quite a bit.
It's becoming more of a regular thing. I like it.
Yeah, I do like Data's babbling. It's very cool. Anyways, the Millers are disappointed, but they're also extremely proud of their son. They're a little sad. Lwaxana Troi thinks that Wyatt achieved something quite great for a human. She's very impressed with him.
Very nice backhanded compliment from her.
Yeah, and then the Tarellians decide that they have what they want, and so they're not going to go to Haven any longer, and they just they go on their merry way. And Picard gives the Tarellian captain a little nod, and that's it. The episode's over. Oh yeah, and Deanna gets
bald to bald, from one bald to another.
Deanna gets to keep the jewels. The Millers are like, keep them.
Really?
You may need them someday.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, that's probably how they paid for the wedding in Star Trek Nemesis. She kept this.
Well, there's no money. They don't need to pay for that wedding, right? How did that work? It was all replicated?
Yeah, everything.
All replicated.
There's no money in the future. So I turn the question to you. What would you do, Scott?
What would I do? No, I would not run off with the hot space leper.
Okay.
Yes.
That answers the questions.
I'm disease phobic. I am not a doctor. And even if I was, I have such, low self-confidence that I would never believe that I could cure it. So I'm going to say that, you know what? Some things are just left dreamed about.
Good.
Yeah.
Honest answer. Well,
be careful what you wish for, my friend, because he didn't even know this girl. Like you said, I wish there was some sort of follow-up where we find out, like, within, 2 weeks, he already can't stand the sound of her voice.
Oh man.
She's just like the most annoying girl in the galaxy.
No, I think she's definitely his dream girl. I mean, he's known her in a way since he was very young.
Cosmic mind bond.
Cosmic mind bond.
So, do all the Tarellians have that power? Does it? Is it just her? Is it just
No,
her and him?
it's implied that it's just her and just him. Because Wyatt's a human.
A human.
Get out of
She's just a Tarellian.
young girl, get out of my mind.
Just a Tarellian girl living in a lonely world.
Oh God.
Got the space leprosy.
So audience,
Yeah.
audience, what would you do? Would you do what Wyatt did, or would you do what Goldie Scott and I would do, which is not go on the ship unless you're a doctor? And if you are a doctor, I'd love to hear what you thought of this episode and what you
And
think.
also any theories you might have on how to cure their space leprosy.
Yeah, that might be fun to find out. Well,
I feel like, wasn't it weird that they didn't even consult Dr. Crusher for 2 seconds about it?
Well, on the
called her like, hey, Dr. Crusher, why don't you come over here and join this conversation about medical stuff?
In the very dense,
I don't know why my Picard suddenly became Sean Connery.
And you always do that. It's great.
Yeah.
In the very dense dinner scene that you missed.
Yes.
Dr. Crusher is talking about the Tarellian, the disease, and she actually that's the first time Wyatt, before even knowing anything about the Tarellians or that the girls on board the ship, he offers her a hand in trying to figure out the.
Oh, okay. Well, I just want to point out that shows you what a great analyst I am, that I thought of something that the writers thought of and put in the show, even though I missed it.
Maybe you should write for the show.
I'd love to.
Hear that? New Star Trek.
New Star Trek. Let me write for you.
Calder Scott, what's right for you? So
yes.
So yeah, that on our little, what we're doing scale from 1 to 10. Are we doing a 1 to 10 scale? Is that how?
1 to, I believe Starfleet Boy is 1 to 5. Database Girl. Okay, Database Girl says 1 to 5.
1 to 5.
Starfleet.
So I give this episode a solid 2.5 stars.
Ding ding ding. Okay, I'm giving this a solid 1.
Ooh. So there you have it, and we'll find out what the doctor. We'll do a quick revisit and find out what the doctor would have given this episode next time.
Yeah, well, he said last week, he's like, that's a good one. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's true.
Bailed on us.
I think he forgot that it's a Counselor Troi episode because he also doesn't like Counselor Troi. So, as you pointed out earlier.
But what did he like? I mean, if he remembered it, well, I guess we'll have to ask him. We can't. Unless you want to play the let's guess what the doctor's memories game was.
I'm guessing that the doctor just was responding to the attractiveness of Ariana.
She was super hot.
And
I can't blame him.
I thought it was interesting that the Tarellians were wearing like Star Trek original series outfits.
Well, so much of these early episodes have been original series type of styles, wouldn't you say?
I think so. Except there's like definitely like the Millers were definitely wearing clothing that was more futuristic, if you will. Very weird.
Millers. What a plain name.
Wesley's not the only one wearing cool sweaters in the Star Trek universe.
Well, that's why they brought in Y-Mill, because they realized they suddenly had a sweater vacuum on this show. They're like, we need more sweaters. We're losing viewers. What did we do? We shot ourselves in the foot by getting rid of the sweaters. And now all our viewers are going, let's bring back some sweaters.
He's wearing a particularly fetching burgundy sweater on the holodeck.
It is fetching. That's a good description.
Well, I have nothing else to say about this episode other than, just a good little side episode. Doesn't really go anywhere. It does present some interesting things about Betazoid culture, some cool backstory between Counselor Troi and Commander Riker, and an interesting story about fate and mystery.
Do you know what the next one is about?
Oh, it's the Dixon Hill. It's the first Dixon Hill episode, if I recall.
Oh, that's a cool one, right?
If I'm not mistaken, is what it's called.
Yeah, like the 20s gangster holodeck thing.
Yeah, and this is an interesting one coming up because it also deals with holodeck mechanics.
You mean like the stuff that's going to come into play later with all the Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty stuff?
That, and then even later with even in First Contact, stuff that we find out about the holodeck in this episode will come in handy.
Oh, I'm excited because this is one of the parts of Star Trek I really enjoy, is all the holographic stuff that comes later on with the Doctor on Voyager. I do like that part, Doctor on Voyager, where they have sort of the philosophical arguments of, is a holographic thing an actual living being and sentient and blah, blah, blah. And I think Moriarty gets into that too. So very exciting.
I don't know if you know this, but the Enterprise D is the first starship to actually have a baby.
What does that mean?
The computer becomes sentient and it has a child. You don't remember that episode? We'll get to it sometime.
Oh, vaguely. What is that in this season?
No, it's. I'm gonna say season 6.
Oh, okay. Wait, can I ask you a question? Maybe I should save this for when the Doctor's here. But a couple episodes ago, when I wasn't on, you were talking about something like with the technical manual or something, and you said that there's a whale in the Enterprise.
I think it's dolphins or whales. It might be whales.
He said whales.
No, there's whales. So yeah,
I don't believe that.
In the forward section of the ship, there are whale navigators that are whales.
No, I don't believe you.
Look it up right now.
I don't believe you.
Have a moment here. Whale navigator starship Enterprise D. Let's see here.
Listeners, if you agree with me, write to starfleetboy@gmail.com and tell him how wrong he is, that it's ridiculous that there'd be whales in the Enterprise, much less whale navigators. You're telling me they're actually playing a role in ship functions? That's even more out there.
Here we go. Are you ready for this? This is from our...
I'm not ready. No, I'm definitely not ready.
Memory Alpha. Dolphins were present aboard the... I was right. It was dolphins.
Oh, okay.
Dolphins were present aboard the Enterprise D in some capacity. In 2368, Geordie LaForge took the Frangipar Lenore to see the dolphins in order to keep him from disturbing Croatian Ambassador Briam in the TNG episode The Perfect Mate. The dolphins may have been in the aquatics lab, and then later...
Okay, well, that makes... I mean, dolphins are very small. That makes a lot more sense to me than whales. I could see dolphins... but are you claiming the dolphins help navigate the ship somehow?
Hang on, look. The Next Generation Technical Manual gives further information about the cetaceans aboard Galaxy-class starships, stating they, a mixed group of bottlenose dolphins and Takaya's whales, which must be small whales, are actually crew members and form a guidance and navigation consultation team. These cetaceans are elite specialists in navigation, and Starfleet consults them on suggested system upgrades. What? There you have it, everyone.
I don't agree with that. I don't think the technical manual is canon.
The Enterprise... excuse me, Michael Okuda, Denise Richards.
I don't care. Canon is what's on the show, what we see on the show. Well, that is something else. Something written in a book is like a sub canon of some type.
Yeah,
there are people out there that are nerdier than me that know the different levels of canon. There's canon tiers, okay, right? And the top tier of canon is the actual shows.
So there were dolphins on the show,
but not navigating.
I don't know. All I know is that
I never saw a dolphin sitting, next to Geordie on the bridge, tapping away on the helm. With his little flippers, flapping away on the helm.
That's a terrible dolphin impersonation. The technical manual is written by the guy who designed the L cars and all the systems and basically designed the Enterprise. And he says there's freaking dolphins and whales. Now, I think it's a good thing because if you were to ever encounter that freaky probe from Star Trek 4 again, no problem, right? The last
I
thing
guess.
the last thing you want is your power to shut off. Like,
No, but that was whale. See, that's why you got me confused because the Star Trek 4 probe thing was whales, not dolphins.
well, cetaceans are, I think, dolphins.
Very different things. Whales and dolphins are very different. We should save that for our aquatic life podcast show.
Aquatic.
But yeah, I just want to
Aquatic with Sohail Zissou. And you could be Willem Dafoe's character. Anyways, before we go way off track, I'd like to say thank you, Golder Scott, for another great episode of Starfleet Boy.
Thank you for having me on, Starfleet Boy. It was an honor.
Live long.
Yes, LLAP.
And as Jordy would say, or LeVar Burton would say on his other show, see you next time.